Holy smokes. K-Shed Uncuffed, episode number 5. Wow. Man, what a pleasure it's been. It's been a great week so far. Just got done heading back out to Iowa, seeing the parents. Although they're getting older, they're hanging in there. And was able to bring the family, and at the same time was having a 19th year anniversary just yesterday. So a lot going on. Back in the Bay now, though, and was welcomed with another series of beautiful weather. And it's great to be back here. A lot of good stuff going on. Was able to get my a lot of stuff going on, movie making wise, which we'll talk about later on. And I got somebody here as my guest on episode 5, Shed Uncuffed, who is very, very dear to me. I've known this guy for a while now. We're pretty much road dogs. We're Raider fans together. We honor the name. We fought together in the trenches with Save Oakland Sports down in Oakland, thinking that we really had a chance to actually make a difference. But that's neither here nor there. But then we moved on to be partners in the movie making world, and we continue to set the foundation for something very, very big now. By no means am I saying that AD Productions, or which is short for Always Dreaming Productions, is a formative force right now, but I guarantee you, here in the near future, everybody's going to know what we're up to. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the great Cisco Ortega, who is the president of the Las Vegas chapter of the Black Hole. Mr. Cisco, how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing well, K-Shed, doing well, my man. One thing on the intro, man, the grade. Come on now, man, you're giving me more credit than credit is due. I wouldn't do that.
Well, see, that's our thing, though. You like to be in the background, and I like to be in the background. So it's just like we're at an intersection with a stop sign. No, you go first. No, you go first. No. By all means, you go first. I don't like being the center of attention, but for whatever reason, it just comes. And with Cisco Ortega, it's the same thing. How could you not be the president of Las Vegas chapter of the Black Hole and not be the center of attention where everybody wants to know what's going on? So it sounds like it was a pretty big week for the Raiders this weekend, and you sound like you were part of a newscast that was hand in hand with it. What's up?
Yeah, man. Come to think about that that little interview. I mean, there was some familiar faces on there as well.
Okay, well, tell me about your role. What do you think of the addition of the new president of the Oakland, or the former Oakland Raiders, now Las Vegas Raiders?
Oh man, it goes right up there. Like I said, my interview. It's just another way the Raiders have shown that we are going to stay true, or they're going to stay true to what they believe in. And
You can say we're.
yeah, I guess so. We're staying true to what the Raiders are about, not just smash mouth, air it out football, but the there's no culture, there's no culture boundary lines, there's no color count boundary lines, no gender,
Love it.
what color you are. If you are the right person for the job is yours for the taking, as long as you are the right fit for the organization. And that's always been Mr. Davis's motto, as you know more than I do. And to see Mark continue with that, man, it makes you proud to say you're a Raider.
It does. It really does. They kind of came out of left field with that announcement, and I really wish I was down there when the bomb hit, because I would have loved to have been part of the celebratory gatherings that came after that. Man, to kind of shake Sandra's hand face to face would have been a huge pleasure. And to credit to Mark, this, a lot of people didn't really think that he was going to be able to maintain the job. He's someone who he wasn't a integral part of the team back when his dad was running the show. He had his own things going on, college, life, real life stuff that he devoted his time and all that to. And then when it became time to take over, I think a lot of people were kind of wondering, is he going to make it? And I tell you what, this guy is coming up with stuff like new wave moves that's just like fantastically timed, and it's exactly what that team needs at that moment. It's almost like he's like going way into the future. What's my team going to need? And as as soon as as soon as everything's all in place, that team's going to be a freaking a dominant force in the NFL.
Yeah, I hope so. And I can't agree with you more. It's exactly how I envision it. It's like he's making all the right moves at the right time.
Yeah.
And to move to Vegas, obviously, COVID, but who could control that? But man,
Yeah.
that would have been an amazing year opening up the stadium, and in a landmark year, 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice even number. It looks good, and
Yeah.
just with everything that's evolving now, is just great. And of all places, within the Raider Nation, you hear it all the time, right? People, oh man, I wish they would have moved to LA. Oh, I wish they would have stayed in Oakland. Hey, you and me, you opened up with that, right? Hey, we were a big advocate for saving Oakland sports. It wasn't just the Raiders, but it was the A's and the Warriors just the same.
That's true.
And for them to make the move, yeah, it hurt. It hurt us all. But if any place they were going to move, I said it. Vegas would be the place. I know I make bits of backlash for this comment, but
No,
I didn't
well
want
then
them to
don't
go
do
back
it
to
then.
LA. I didn't. Well, I didn't want them to go back to LA. I didn't.
Oh, okay. You can say
I
that.
wanted.
One of my favorite bumper stickers that I saw was somebody who said, "Hey, we're back. LA sucked."
Yes, yes. I had one. I think I had one.
Go ahead.
I had one. I said I think I had one.
Oh, you had one. Maybe it was your card I saw it on the back of.
I had one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but hey, it is what it is. But we as Raider Nation can't be more happier. It's an outstanding, beautiful piece of work.
Beautiful
there
stadium,
on Russell
man.
Road. I mean, it's or Al Davis Way, I should say. It's amazing.
It's
You
still
walk
like
in there, you're just like, wow.
it still seems like it's evolving too. Every time I look around, there's like something, no, some new feature that's added to the stadium, like the big old, sounds like from what. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like the Raider emblem is on the front or something like that, or something that says the Raiders is on the side.
Oh well, they had some issues with the outside screen on the exterior of the stadium.
Okay.
There's something about the video panels were the wrong ones or something like that. So that was a delay with the, I guess you could say, the opening day ceremonies
Oh,
or
okay.
what have you. But yeah, I mean, it looks sharp with that, and it's just not like square like a TV. It's kind of shaped in that like oval kind of look to it that makes it even more like, wow, that's pretty badass.
Someone
And
had
it
a
is.
someone had a
It is.
vision, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Give it to that architect team, whoever that was, man. That tremendous job.
Well,
Tremendous job.
let me ask you a direct question. Did you foreshadow that they were going to Las Vegas and you said, I'm picking up and I'm leaving the Bay Area and going to Las Vegas first?
No,
Gotcha.
the vote actually went through while I was, obviously still in the Bay and had no ideas I was going to be changing, states on my license and all that stuff.
Yeah.
No, fortunate for me, an opportunity presented itself with a former company, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just time for me, Cisco Ortega to move on. And
Yeah.
the late great brother of mine, Rob Rivera said, God works in mysterious ways, and just ride with it. And I can't be happier. Of course, do I miss family and friends and people like yourself that we used to get together quite frequently. Do I
Yeah.
get to do any of that now? No, but just the different culture here. We're older now, right? We're in our 50s, and your
No,
life
you're in
tends
your
to slow
50s.
down. Wait, what are you talking about, man? You're right there with me.
Oh, okay. Anyway, hey, listen, I was going to ask you about Mr. Rob. I wanted to spend a moment talking about him, but if you don't mind, can I give our listeners a little bit of background about from how you've come up from, this little rookie Raider fan guy in the black hole who used to have to bring water to the Rob Riveras of the world and all the other executives of the black hole. Sometimes you had to wash the jock straps and stuff like that that comes with being the rookie in the group. But that's when I first.
I told you to say that, to never say that out in public.
well, well, anyway, I've never been known to. What's the name of my freaking podcast, man? K-Shed Uncuffed. It feels great to have no filter right now, but a lot of the things that you can't really say that I can, mainly because, you're the president of the Black Hole chapter in Las Vegas, so you have to play the political game. But I want to tell everybody where you came from, because this wasn't an easy road that you went on. You learned the tricks of the trade. You waited your turn in Oakland. I remember you were there. You were part of the meetings that we had, the Save Oakland Sports. I mean, imagine, the guys out there. Listen, they got to imagine we're sitting in the mayor's office at that time with like open forum meetings, and she's asking us, what do we need to do? How do we make this work? Does anybody have any ideas? And we're all talking, and we're all looking at our pockets. Well, do you have $1 billion? No, you don't. How about Steve? Steve, you got $1 billion over there? No one had $1 billion in these meetings. But we still, did the best we could. And then at the same time, we were meeting with the Raiders, and they were saying, hey, we want to stay in Oakland. So if anybody has anything to say about, the road that it took to get to Las Vegas, I can tell you for a fact that the team, especially Mark Davis, did everything he could to try to stay in Oakland. It just didn't work out. And, Cisco was right there. He was part of these meetings and stuff. So, and then I remember you kind of took over. You started, you would do the road trips and stuff when you were headed out to do meetings with the sponsors and stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, we'll start from the beginning, like you said, working my way up into the black hole. It kind of, we had our crew, we're, being born and raised in San Francisco, in South San Francisco, South City, for those out there that know it by that, parked in the same lot as the Black Hole D lot. And I became a member in, I don't know, mid to late 90s. And, because I was a member, I would pop my head into the tailgate every once in a while. And my brother Bobby Ribello, kept seeing me, game after game, popping in for a little bit and then leaving. And he finally caught me one time, and he was like, hey, man, what's your name? And then, told him, and he was like, hey, I see you come in, and you leave, and, what's going on? So, make a long story short, kind of told him, who I was, where I was raised. Started saying, okay, and started saying that. And,
Yeah.
And then I think Chewy Gomez's name got brought up.
Chewy.
The legendary Bay Area disc jockey, So he was like, wait, you know Chewy? I go, yeah, we went to the same high school, kind of grew up together in that. Yeah, I mean, I've known him since he was doing, DJing garage parties. And he was like, no way.
Best DJ in the Bay Area, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And he said, hey, man, you got to meet somebody. And walked over, and he goes, hey, this is the president, Rob Rivera, of the Black Hole. And
wow.
He didn't know that we had already met, like you had touched on our Save Oakland Sports meetings.
Yeah.
And Rob didn't, I don't know if you picked up on that. It was the meeting where you were there with John Vella. Oh. It was at the Red Lion. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, so we all had to get up and introduce ourselves. Well, I said I was from San Francisco, diehard Raider fan, A's fan, and Warrior fan. And Rob just kind of gave me a look. Rob hates San Francisco with a T. Everything from it or everything. And yeah, and he just kind of gave me a look. I was like, wow, that's weird. Why'd he give me a look like that? But I said, yeah, we met. He goes, yeah, you look familiar. And I said, yeah, Save Oakland Sports. And he goes, oh, that's it. His whole demeanor was different. Maybe because he had a few cold ones in him at the time. I don't know.
Jesus.
yeah, so from
Mm-hmm.
then on, he was just all right. So this and that. We're talking. He was like, yeah, man, he knows Chewy and this and that. And he's like, really? I go, yeah. So he started asking me more and more about about me.
Yeah.
And I told him about my dabble in the entertainment industry, working with certain
Boom.
artists, this and that. And he was like, wow, really? I go, yeah. He goes, okay, okay. Let
You
me
mean
get
like
your
Sheila
number,
E
man.
and all that stuff?
Well, not Sheila E, but Lisa,
Oh.
Debbie Deb, and Big Daddy Kane,
Oh.
you know, Rob Ace, pretty much all the cool rappers and dance artists from the late 80s to early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with. So
Beautiful.
yeah, and he we exchanged numbers, and the first thing he called me on months later, or the following year, was he wanted me to help participate in the planning for the annual kickoff party that we always do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it started. And then once the party actually happened, I was more engaged and involved in doing this and doing that. He was telling me, okay, hey, look, can you make sure that this is going right, and can you do this? And it just kind of grew from there.
Okay.
And our friendship grew from there. And then he was a big, huge, I just say not even big, huge
Huge Raider
boxing
fan.
fan. Huge
Yep.
boxing fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew I liked boxing. So then we started talking about that, and that's kind of where our bond and our friendship and brotherhood just kind of grew and took off. And then before you knew it, he asked me to be his VP. And at the time, he told me about his vision of the black hole, where he wanted it to go, and where he ultimately wanted to be in the years to come. And at that time, I think we had 5 black hole chapters. And as it stands now, we have almost 35.
Wow. Hey, so
So,
so
yeah.
so he knew, you know what? I've taken on a huge task. I set up some things. I need someone with the vision and the strength to help me carry this forward. And he saw all that inspiration and you mentioned about the black hole parties. I remember being part of one of you guys' party
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was one of the best days. I remember when you guys inducted me into the Black Hole Hall of Fame. I came in with I think Johnny Gunn,
Yep.
definitely
Yep.
JT the Brick, who's a freaking
Mm-hmm.
awesome stud, and Jeremy Brigham. And one thing I
Yeah.
remember about that one is that poor Jeremy, when he did his speech and they gave him his shirt, his Black Hole T-shirt. There was a medal, there was a plaque, all these different things, certificate, all these different things. You guys, and a freaking Bud Light. I remember it was like each person got like 6 Bud Lights each.
Yep.
That's one thing I remember. You guys could freaking party. And then
Right.
so Jeremy said to everybody, "Yeah, I remember seeing all you guys sitting in your stands and sitting in your seats at one of the games, and everybody just jumped up. You know what they said, right, Cisco? Get them.
Oh, yeah.
What
Oh,
they
yeah.
say?
We weren't sitting down.
We stand up, and that's like the
Yeah,
thing
we
people
stand
don't
up.
know. I don't think
Yeah.
people realize that the black hole, in order to be a black hole member and be in the black hole, you stand for the
Yeah.
entire freaking game. You never sit
Mm-hmm.
down. You show
Yeah.
that team nothing but love and loudness and your vocal cords, and you're yelling at refs, you're yelling at the opposing team, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sight. The black hole is something that will never ever be recreated uh, again, as far as like with the other teams, even though they may try. But
Right.
I heard a little rumor that there might be possibly a black hole coming up again someplace else in Las Vegas.
Uh, as far as in the stadium,
Yeah.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, we're doing our best. It's just. It's like
It's a
anything,
political
right?
thing. It's a political
People,
thing.
you got new people, new faces,
Yeah.
and you got to kind of mentor them, show them, the way. And then you have the other
Yeah.
folks that are like, well, hey, that was great in Oakland, but this is Vegas. We got to put our own
Really?
mark on it. Yeah, and
Oh no.
I don't force anything on anybody. Just and that was just me in general.
Wow.
But Rob too, just the same. Like members, we don't recruit people. You know, our initial chapters in different, states and cities, it's a part of what they got to do is like, getting members, because that's a criteria to open one. You got to have at least 10 members. But as far as we were concerned, the
Yeah.
mother base, we never recruited people. We wouldn't tell people when they came to our tailgate and we're partying as we're handing them free beers and shots and what have you. We would say, hey man, you got to join the Black Hole. Why don't you join the Black Hole? They would come and, like Rob said, welcome them with the aloha spirit. And if they felt like, hey man, I fit in with these people, they
Oh.
would then tell us, hey man, where do I get one of those shirts? And I'd be like, oh man, well it's our membership shirt. What? You could be a member? And yeah, that's pretty much how it took off.
Are
So,
you serious?
so it's like that. We're not gonna come to Vegas and be like, hey man, you gotta stand up. You gotta, of course you do tell them that, but you don't, say, hey, this is the Black Hole way. You
Hmm.
know, they kind of follow you and see what you do and be like, yeah, I got to be like that. Like on offense, just shut the hell up and sit in your seat and watch the offense do its thing. Don't, especially now that we're in a dome. And then when we're on defense, man, you get loud, you scream, you holler,
Yeah.
you do what you got to do. Give that team hell, give that ref hell, like you mentioned. I mean, that's a part of what made the Black Hole the Black Hole. And,
Oh man.
it's hopefully in time it'll get that to that point. But if it doesn't, hey, it doesn't. And we'll just be thankful that we had the time we had in Oakland. And we're not going anywhere as far as that we're concerned. But as far as having that trademark location in the stadium,
Yeah.
that's yet to be seen. We're going on what year 2 of fans in the stands. So we'll see.
I love that. I love what you just said, bro. That's you spoke it just like a highly qualified president of a chapter of a fan base um, club, and the number one fan base out there, the Black Hole. You know, that was beautiful how you just said it. You don't have to go out of your way to form fit people. This is you guys had bylaws. You guys had like a policy. There were certain
Right.
things that you did. You had meetings all the time, and people were regulated. If they broke the rules that came with the Black Hole, they were gone.
Right.
And it sounds to me like you're carrying over Rob's legend. And for the listeners, I mean, unfortunately, Rob lost his life to COVID. I can't remember when that was, Cisco.
September 30th of last year,
Oh,
2021. Yeah.
horrible, horrible, horrible. And so he's definitely going to be missed.
Yeah.
Two things that I remember about the Black Hole, with this podcast, anytime it starts getting a little bit kind of sad, I always make an effort to kind of like, gear it back up and all that stuff. Rob Rivera, somebody who meant so much to the Raider organization, number one, and the Raider fan base and stuff. He went down swinging. He was right there in our meetings with the Save Oakland Sports team. He would take people on who were part of the Raider organization who wanted to cut back on tailgating events and cut back on the number of parking spaces that the Black Hole could have so they can enjoy their tailgating and all that stuff. And for years, Oakland tailgates were known as the number one tailgate in the freaking NFL. Out of freaking 32 teams, they were number one. So, I mean, yeah, I would take offense to that, but there's a couple different things I remember about the Black Hole, and I just one I remember when I saw my first '84 jersey. Miss Valerie was up there in the Black Hole, and I just remember her, just going crazy, all that stuff during pregame drills. And I said, and I'm like, shoot, she has my jersey on. So I remember catching the pass, and I held on to the ball, and one of the ball guys, because you catch the ball from the quarterback, and then you give it to the ball guy, and he runs it back to the quarterback, and then it just does a circuit and all that stuff. I
Right.
said, nah. He's like, hand me the ball. I'm like, no, 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 I'm keeping this one. And I ran it over there to Valerie, and I reached up there and I said, here you go. and it was like the best moment ever. I saw my first K-Shed 80 number 84 silver and black. It was their beautiful home jerseys, obviously, and she was wearing my jersey, and I gave her that ball. And ever since then, we keep in contact with each other. She's shown me nothing but support, both when I was playing, by movie making, films that we've done. She was at our premiere, Cisco. Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I remember she came up to us when we went to when Gruden had his welcome back party at Ricky's, and we were sitting there talking, and she came up with I don't remember if she had your jersey on or she was carrying it or holding it, and I remember that too. And I was like, oh wow, man, she's still around. That's awesome.
Isn't
And,
that great?
yeah, man.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
that's the black hole, man. That's the Raider Nation. It's fantastic. I mean, you left us though. What are you thinking of Las Vegas?
Um, you know, I I wouldn't change a thing. The decision to move out here and that, I wouldn't. Like I did, like I touched on. Being older. I was never a fan of Vegas growing up, even as a young club goer and all that. It just wasn't my thing. I got plenty of carte blanche at nightclubs and stuff. In San Francisco, where I came here and I was just like, oh no, it's not for me.
I know.
But
Yep.
I love my neighborhood. It's quiet. It's the freeways. It's so cleaner. There's only certain areas of Las Vegas that are kind of like, hey, let me make sure my doors are locked and make
Really?
sure I don't leave anything. That brings me back to home. Like, oh man, I better put my bag in the trunk. Kind of deal.
Man.
But for the most part, it's nice and peaceful, and I don't know if it's because everybody's a transplant or majority of the people are transplants, such as myself. But everybody is so friendly,
Wow.
so friendly, and like I said, I mean, it's just nice.
It's
It's really nice.
it's
Yeah.
not too hot or anything like that.
I mean, it gets there. It gets up there. It does. But like I tell anybody else, you're hot from your doorstep to your car, and from your car to wherever you're going. You're going grocery shopping. You're going to the office. You're going to the mall. You're going to catch a movie. You're going to dinner. That's the only time you're hot. Everything everywhere else has air conditioning. So unless you got you're a labor worker or you have a job that you're outside, I could see people complaining about the heat, but you're not. It's not that. It's not that bad.
You don't go out to the strip or anything like that, and just kind of.
That ain't my forte. That's only when K-Shed comes to town. And
Why you
drags
gonna
me
put me out there? Holy crap, dude! Okay, I like the party. I like the party. I don't like to gamble. I am so not a gamble guy. So,
Me neither.
last time I went out to Las Vegas, I can't believe you put me out there like that. So, so last time I went out to Las Vegas, I did it on my own. Obviously I have close ties to the Raider organization, right?
Right.
So I go out there on my own. I've said, I'm gonna buy my own plane ticket. I'm gonna find my own hotel. I'm gonna kind of get myself over to the facility myself, and I'm gonna just kind of be an outsider and kind of see, is this my type of town? Because it's just, I don't do heat. Number one, it's too hot. I don't gamble.
Right.
Yeah, it just, and I don't know. I needed to see, is that my type of town? I'm still on the fence. You took great care of me. Down there we went to old school, Las Vegas. It was super packed down there. It was great. Being out there and seeing everything and all that stuff. But I'm still on the fence as far as like if that's my kind of town. So if you're okay with it, I want to live through you for a bit, and just kind of like I know you got some big plans for the black hole, and you got some events coming up, and then you got some, you got high hopes for the team and everything. You think all that's going to work out well this year?
I hope so. It all depends on the team, you working with and the support of, the Raider Nation and our Black Hole members. I mean, that's, you are who you have by your side, really, who supports you. So, um, as long as those pieces are in place, yeah, I think everything's going to be, just on the up. We're all still recovering from COVID, so I know last year was a little different than what we're accustomed to. Had to make some last minute changes and some things here and there, but
Uh-huh.
as far as we're concerned, just looking towards the future and continuing to keep Rob's legacy going, like you mentioned.
Oh man, Rob. God. What a great individual, you know. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely in my thoughts on the daily. When you go from talking to an individual, whether it's a quick phone call or a long phone call or several text messages throughout the day, which
mm-hmm.
it was our everyday practice,
Nice.
to all of a sudden just not having that anymore. It's and over the course of the years that we've been friends and been doing this, I'd say what, 10 years. So all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden that's just a piece of your daily routine that's gone. You're kind of like, whoa, how do I adjust? So I'm still recovering, but hey, I know he's looking down on all of us, and telling us to keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to continue to keep doing what he wanted us to do. And like you said, I learned from the best, so I just got to keep that culture, keep that culture going.
You know, and you know, and he never budged on everything. He stayed strong from the very start. I mean, he's the
Yeah,
founder of the freaking black hole, man. He's founded
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and he stayed strong and committed. Um, he was not afraid to take on anybody who tried to, kind of cut into what the Raider Nation and the black hole had fought so hard to do, whether it was
right.
tailgating, the social events that you guys have going on, which is very. It's not just hanging out and having beers and shots and stuff. You guys have like toys for kids during freaking Christmas.
Yeah,
You have all these different these drives for the help raise money for books for kids
right.
um, at schools and stuff like that. I mean, that's what Rob brought, and that's what he
Right.
promoted. And it sounds
Yeah,
like you guys got a lot of everything just like that set up for this upcoming, or for
yeah.
the future in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we got one in a couple of weeks that we're going to be helping out with Operation Homefront.
Ooh, what's that?
For listeners out there that listen to Raider Nation Radio, you hear the commercials on there. Um, the project, I'm sorry, Operation Homefront is a nonprofit geared towards our men and women of the military.
Mm.
And if you're down on your luck, or you can't make your mortgage payment, or you can't um, buy Christmas gifts for your children, you can't pay your electricity bill or something, they help you out. They help you out.
Wow.
Again, they're a nonprofit, and they're, I
Wow.
believe they're nationwide, and we are working with them right currently now to as I'll call it a pilot and see how it goes.
Okay, that's good.
And this
That's
is
good.
something that Rob and I and a couple of our members started here in Vegas. Met with the gentleman. He is now, no longer with them. He had a family issue that he had to tend to, so he had to leave Operation Homefront. But there are pieces in place now, people in place now
Yeah.
that I'm working with. And this end of this month, they're doing a backpack drive, and we're
Wow.
going to be donating and helping, I guess, pack those backpacks with the pens, paper, whatever supplies they get. We're going to be bagging up all those backpacks and handing them out to families in need. So yeah, that's our next event we're helping out with here in the Las Vegas area.
Oh my goodness. The black hole. And you guys are like on a whole nother level. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect all the fan bases of the other NFL teams. I
Right.
mean, guys,
No, and
if you're
there's a lot
listening.
of them. There's a lot of them out there, and they're all doing good things. And
Yeah, 100%.
it's not just us. We can't take all the patting on the back and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm without I'm not a guy that's in the limelight and stuff. But a lot of that kind of started in Oakland. And it's taken off. And hey, if it's not a time where you say, hey, I started that. That's a point
No,
where you sit back and
no.
smile and say, man, I'm glad when I dropped that pebble in that pond that it just, them ripples just kept going and everybody picked
Mm-hmm.
up in whatever state you're doing, and you're doing that and you're helping out the community and you're wearing that silver and black. Man, that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. So, hey,
You know what was so beautiful about what you just said is that, I remember when I first came down and Willie Brown, um, Hall of Fame cornerback,
right.
was during Thanksgiving. He rounded up like 20 of us or whatever and said, he didn't even tell us where we were going. He was just like, just shut up and meet me at 8 o'clock in the morning on at this place, International and 88th, which is
Oh,
like,
jeez.
I'm sorry, but it's not the best area of Oakland. But he
Right.
said, meet us there, and we go there, and as soon as we get there, there's this big old truck, and it's like, it's one of those, cargo trucks and stuff, and there's like all these frozen turkeys and these, there's, like I said, during Thanksgiving, frozen turkeys and all these packages of Thanksgiving trimmings and stuff that comes with it and all that. And what we were doing were we were passing out free turkeys and Thanksgiving dinners to all the people who could probably not afford it in Oakland. And we went from each person had their own like little area, and we were there for hours, and it was the best moment, Cisco, I can ever remember. And he did that on his own. He paid for all the turkeys. He paid for all the trimmings, everything. The truck, I'm sure, to deliver everything there. There was no, I don't even remember there being any like, news channels or anything like that. That's not why he was doing it. We did it just basically out of our hearts, and we were following Willie Brown's lead. And I remember the next day we had our team meeting, and our head coach asked about that, and they asked Willie, how did it go? And he stood up, and I swear to God, he broke down crying when he told how beautiful and special of a moment it was to be able to do that. And
Yeah.
this grown man broke down crying. That made everybody else in the freaking meeting room start tearing up and all that stuff. And I'm just like, holy crap, that's the Raider Nation, man.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
credit for it. You just go do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And and it's just a part of who we are. It's you go on vacation, and it's happened to me a few times. You're wearing a Raider hat or something. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was in several years ago. I was in Tulum, Mexico, and we were at a water park, and we're having lunch, and I had my Raider hat on, and this guy from the other side of the dining area yells out, Raider Nation! And I didn't
What?
hear it at first, and then it got louder. Raider Nation! And I look up, and the dude's holding his head fist up in the air, and he's got no shirt on, because it's a water park, right? So he's got no shirt on, so I'm like, what? He's got his hand up. I go, oh, must be a Raider fan. Okay, cool. I put my hand up. I'm like, yeah, Raiders. And then, go back to eating and talking with, my family and whatnot. And all of a sudden, a few minutes later, he comes back, and my head is turned in a different direction. He comes from behind me. He's like, hey, buddy, what's up? And I looked, and he's got swim trunks on, Raider swim trunks. He goes, man, what's up, man? I go, oh, hey, buddy, how you doing? And, I was like, he goes, man, what's up, man? You a Raider fan? Yeah, I go, yeah. He goes, where you from? I go, man, I'm from, San Francisco Bay Area. He goes, oh, man, you live, Oakland? I go, well, I don't live in Oakland, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's home. And, he was just so excited
Wow.
to talk to another Raider fan. I think he was, I wouldn't say he was from Iowa, but he was, your neck of the woods out there somewhere. And I was like, wow, that's
Really,
crazy. This guy
Iowa?
just, was that excited to see another Raider fan, and, to leave his family and meal, to walk across the dining area, and then come and say what's up and want to meet another Raider fan. That's like I said, man, that's Raider Nation.
It's unreal,
I mean,
right?
we do it ourselves. You see another guy walk by, yeah, you go, hey, Raiders, and then, the Raiders. But you kind of keep it flowing, But, we recognize each other. You give them the Mexican salute, the head nod up, hey, what's up, man? Because you're wearing a Raider cap or a Raider shirt or a jacket or what have you. But, yeah, man, that's the magic of Raider Nation.
I would not disrespect any fan base out there that's not the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Denver Broncos, the San Diego Chargers. Who else, man? Even Seattle, back when they were in the AFC West, man, they were kind of jerks too. I'm not a big fan of those teams, so I'll talk all kinds of trash about those fan bases. But anybody else out there, we respect what you do for your communities, all that stuff. It's very, very important, and Raider Nation, in my opinion, is highly elite. They stick with the anybody associated with the Raiders from any walks of life. It doesn't matter, what you're doing now. I mean, I'm still in contact with Mark Davis. He's always checking on me. When I was being a cop, when I'd see him at whatever function, first question he'd ask is like, "Dude, are you being safe out there?" That's how fantastic that organization is, and so big shouts out. Just to switch up gears right quick before we take that last lap. AD Productions, brother. How we doing?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I still can't thank you enough for bringing me on board. And I remember it clear as day. Say, yeah, man, I'm taking these film classes. And I'm like, oh man. And then I don't know. I think we went to watch an A's game at Ricky's or something. And I remember you saying you got to go to either finish up some paperwork or assignment for that class. And I remember you saying, "I'm gonna be calling on you, man. I'm gonna be calling on you." And I'm like, "For what?" You go, "Just be ready. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Just be ready." And I'm like,
"Love it."
Okay. And yeah.
You're like, that dude's weird.
We all had. You said what you were doing, and you wanted me to be a part of it, and it's been a hell of a ride, a ride that I don't plan on getting off of. And
Are you kidding?
I can't thank you enough for having a faith in me to be a part of it. And
dude,
I hope I'm doing you justice.
You're like a gold nugget, man. I mean, AD Productions is short for Always Dreaming Productions. It's a film company or film group. We'll say group for now because we're not at that level yet, but we will be. Start out in the Bay Area, obviously, Cisco and I and a couple others, but Cisco and I are the ones who are kind of like stayed, in the fires, been fighting. I asked Cisco for a little bit of assistance on a short film we did. It was actually with Mr. Lincoln Kennedy, who is a great friend of mine, former teammate, just a fantastic force. Hall of Fame, better be calling this guy really, really soon, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And we did like this really, really funny short clip with Lincoln called Lincoln Kicks for Kids. And when you guys go on our Cisco and I's Instagram page, it's Always Dreaming Productions 84 at Instagram. We're going to be posting all the videos that we did, and that was one of the first ones that we did together. And I asked Cisco, "Hey, look, can you do me a favor? Can you pick up our talent for this clip we're going to be doing?" Remember? He's just like, "Yeah, no problem. Can I bring my my little, I don't know what kind of car you have." I said, "I don't know, man. The guy we're talking about is Lincoln Kennedy."
There's my silver Volkswagen Passat.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got an expedition? Because,
right?
Yeah, and so Cisco helped us out. He went and he picked up Lincoln at the airport. We flew him in from Arizona, put him in at the hotel. and and then picked them up the next day, got them to where we were shooting. It's a funny clip. You know, I was new director at the time, so I made some mistakes with it and all that. We could have done more with it had I, kind of ventured out a little bit more and got out different angles. But the the final project that we did is really really good, really funny. A lot of people like it, and Lincoln did a great job. My guy Kari More did a fantastic job as our old man. Like, we're gonna post it.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was our first film that we did together as AD Productions. Then we went on and we did another short film called Karma, and Cisco was very instrumental in that, helped set it all up, help arrange everything, and then we did a fantastic cameo with one of my other really good buddies and former teammates, Mr. Sebastian Janikowski. And Sebastian played a really, really good role in that one, and that's going to be posted on our website as well, or on our Instagram page as well. And you're going to trip because you won't even recognize him. He's in it for maybe about 5 seconds, right, Cisco?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, roughly 5-10 seconds or so. You won't recognize him because we did a great makeup job on him, and it doesn't look like him. But one thing I remember about that shoot is because it happened the day after the Raiders played Denver, and it was a very critical, conference game, and the Raiders ended up losing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Raiders lost, and they lost on a missed field goal by Sebastian. And
I believe he missed 3.
yeah, that's right. Oh, Sebastian.
Yeah, I want to say I think he missed 3 field goals that game.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, everybody, our film shoot was after the game. It wasn't the day before the game, and then he missed all those. It was after the game. So he just had a bad day. That's how it is for everybody, I mean, I remember back when I played, I had a 15-yard face mask penalty that happened at the worst possible time, and when that happened, it was on a kickoff return, and it put the guys right in field goal position right away, and I was like sweating bullets, and I was just like, oh my God. And thankfully our defense was able to step in and stop them, because all they had to do was get about maybe five or so more yards, and then they were going to kick the game-winning field goal. So, I remember having bad days left and right, back when I played. So, and it was just happened to be a bad day for Sebastian. He missed 3 field goals, and he missed the game-winning field goal. So by rights, by no means should he have been in any type of mood to join us for our film shoot and do the cameo, even though he said he was going to, but he wasn't going to do it. And we had somebody, close friend of ours, call him up and just talk to him, make sure he was okay. He wasn't really in the best spirits, but he said, you know what, you're right. And he came down and he joined us, and it was the best moment ever. It was great. It was great when I first saw him on that set, and we ended up having a fantastic moment. And that's gonna be on there as well, bro. What do you remember about that day, Cisco?
Oh man, it was a long weekend.
Yeah,
for that matter.
That's true.
It was game number 3.
Of course, you're gonna know all that.
of the 26-year span of home games that I've missed. Game number 3. Because we were filming when we played Denver at home. We were still filming.
That's right. You gave it up.
I missed that home game. And that was also a big kicker, for me anyway, because my guy, Seawood, that was the first interception. Well, he got 2 that day off of Peyton Manning, who he had never intercepted before, and I missed it because we were filming Karma.
Oh, man, I apologize, bro.
Yeah, but it was. I remember during each break, you would look at me. What's the score? And I gave you the updates.
Yeah, it was very, very stressful, man.
It was long. I think I slept that weekend. Because remember, we were filming in the East Bay. Mm-hmm. I had to go back home
3
to San
straight
Francisco,
shoots.
and we were. Man, I think I was sleeping 3
Yeah.
hours a night, getting back up and heading back to the East Bay, butt crack of dawn in the early morning. Yeah, it was rough, but it
AD
was fun.
production.
It was quite an experience, and you know, looking forward to many more to come.
Was
It was great, man.
so that helped that one little cameo helped set up us being able to show Sebastian a little bit of love uh, for your guys for the Black Hole kickoff party. If everything works out right, it's going to be in us to pay homage to Sebastian, and I think we both said it. He could be and he should be Hall of Fame down the road as well, and I would love to be able to have him have the type of moment that I had when you guys made me an honorary member of the Black Hole, and Jeremy Brigham, who was Raider tight end at the time, and for me, it would be great to be able to head down to Las Vegas and take care of Sebastian in such a way that will equal the way he took care of us when he gave it up for a day that he really didn't have to, because the press, the ESPN, everybody, the coaches, everybody was so down on him, and he dug deep and he came in through for us for our movie making aspirations. He's just a damn good guy anyway. Obviously, he's made his mistakes just like anybody else, but he's a freaking fantastic dude who's a true Raider. And, I look forward to heading down there and paying tribute to that guy when the Raiders kick off their season.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, likewise, like I said, I mean, it's a fun ride. Can't wait to continue this journey where it ends up taking us, and to the plans we have for that kickoff party, and hopefully everything will work out. And
Yeah.
Mr. Seabass will attend and get to honor him for sure. He
Well,
deserves it.
I can
He
tell you,
deserves that and much, much more.
I can tell you, I spoke with him FaceTime the other day, and he's very much ready. So
All right,
just
all right. Good to know. Good to know.
Seabass. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, man. On the last of our conversation here, I was kind of curious to hear what you had to say about Jamarcus Russell's comments on the podcast, The Pivot. It sounds like you might have had a chance to get a listen to what he had to say. What are your thoughts? Because I kind of have my thoughts too, and I can kind of understand what he's saying.
Yeah, I can too, but at the same time, I'm just like, I get it. His term with us was very short. I think, if he was in a different mindset, he would have done a lot better, especially coming from where he came from, knowing what it takes to even get to the NFL and to be drafted by a franchise such as the Raiders. We're not just, no knock at them, but I mean, we're not the Cleveland Browns, for God's sakes. We're not the Detroit Lions. It's the flipping Oakland Raiders you got drafted by, passionate fans and so on and so forth. To not be on point and give it your all, and just take it like, oh, wow, yeah, get all this money thrown at you and just be a bum and show no effort at all. Having that, what was it, a playbook or game film given to you to say, research it and study it?
It's game film.
Yeah, and Sam say, yeah, he did when it was blank. Come on, man. And what he said, yeah, you know what? You are the biggest bust.
No, hey. Wow, Cisco. Come on, man. So my question to you, all right, now clear your mind, all right?
All right.
Clear your mind. Now here's how I think of things, me, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I'm gonna go with who I think is gonna be the best candidate. If I don't like what the Republican had to say, I'm not gonna vote that person. If I kind of like what the Democrats say, I may vote Democrat. So with everything I do, I try to stay in the middle, okay? Because there's two sides to everything. Now, okay, so if you pitch in that podcast, he mentions that he did do some of his drink one day, at the worst possible time, and it got out that he was doing his purple drink, like at some college function after the college championship where he won the championship and all that stuff, and it was awards night, and he, if you recall that, he didn't have his sling on, so his arm, his shoulder which was broken, was like or separated, was like in immense pain. So he did what he had to do to make it through. That gets out, and then everybody's saying that this guy is just freaking a bonehead. He's freaking doing whatever his purple drink is, just at will, and he's not serious about football and all that stuff. All right? Now, picture the old school Raiders back in the days when they were winning championships left and right. And I hear they used to party nonstop with some just over drinking and just some just nonstop party type stuff back in the days would get most people in trouble, but they were winning and they were doing all these different things. What's the difference between them and Jamarcus Russell?
Well, back then we didn't have social media and things like what we have now, and that as a we'll call it millennium or the new era in sports and entertainment, you have to keep that in mind and know that, well, you know what, I can't do that because I know somewhere somebody's got a camera phone in their hand right now filming what I'm doing because of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that same thing would have happened to those guys had we been in that era.
Which it would not have been accepted.
Yeah, which would not have been accepted. No, not at all. It was all fun and games after the fact, and they got to tell the stories.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody there to physically see it. So all we know is they were full of BS, right? I mean,
that's
true.
Your word for it. That's true.
Your word for it. Was Snake really, studying the playbook by the light of a jukebox? Who knows? Only his teammates do, and people that were in that bar.
That was funny on so many different levels, man. Just wow. All I care about is winning freaking another Lombardi trophy, man. Right? The Raiders, of all the teams out there, they need to get their fourth freaking trophy, like this upcoming year, man. And then all will be good. So I love it, man. That was a fantastic answer. I shouldn't have expected anything less from the great Cisco Ortega. Man, you could take any challenge and just prevail. That's why I love you, brother. That's why I love you.
Love you too, man.
Hey, thank you for taking a moment to be with us and what we got going over here with Uncuffed. We're going to be in contact with you real soon, man. When the season starts, we have a bunch of good marketing projects with our 80 productions and our film Iowa's Finest coming up, which of course obviously you're right there with, and it's gonna lead us back down to Las Vegas. Okay, we got film festivals that hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get admitted in, and if that is gonna be the case, that's gonna be great for what we're trying to do. So
yes, sir.
Thank you for having our back, and thank you for taking care of me when I came down to Las Vegas down there about a month or so ago.
And that goes without saying, man. More to come. That's all I got to say. And no, man, thank you for having me on, man. It was an honor. It was a surprise, and thank you, and looking forward to it. Hey, everybody, tune in, man. Uncuffed, and it's been. I listened to a couple, and man, they're great.
We're trying to do things, man.
Not being biased, great. You coming from being a former football player to a police officer to filmmaker, man. Somebody needs to interview you on a podcast about your life.
Stop, man. I got a lot to share, and
you do.
we'll get you back on later on, okay, brother?
Oh, you got it, man. Hey, and give Nisha a hug for me, and happy anniversary to the both of you, man. I can't wait to see you both.
All right, man. We'll see you soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Oh, and my little nieces, too.
Oh, she's not a little niece anymore.
No, neither one of them, man.
I know, right?
I know.
They're all grown.
When the kid posted that picture of the girls, I was like, wow, they were that small. It's crazy.
Uncle Cisco is what they say, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right,
So
man.
tell everybody I said hello, man, and keep doing what you're doing, Kay.
We'll take care. All right,
Yes,
brother.
sir, brother.
Take care of yourself.
All right, my man.
All right,
You
bye.
too. Bye bye.
Guys, that was my partner in crime, Mr. Cisco Ortega. A true pro in so many different levels. Um, we have so many different things planned here in the future. Just if everything works out, it's going to be a full circle type evolution. I mean, we left the team left Oakland when they were doing everything they could to win championships, and it just wasn't working. I don't know why. Was it the team? Were they not focused? I have no clue. But during that course, there should have been some type of freaking Lombardi Trophy lifted up, for the Raider Nation. I've never met a fan base more committed, more devoted, and hardcore than the Raider Nation. 100%. I will have their back with whatever they need. I'm gonna be right there to support them. Mark Davis is doing a fantastic job of paving the way for that Lombardi Trophy to be lifted up again one day in the future. And so far this team has seemed like they're taking on the challenge. Last year was a nightmare. If Murphy, they had a jersey number 666, and the name on the back card was Murphy's, from Murphy's Law. Because if anything could have happened bad for a team, it was that team, and they did the best job they could to make the most of it. If if the refs give them a chance this year, because I know for a fact that there's a conspiracy from the refs against the Raiders. If these refs will back off, let these guys play freaking football against their opposition, and give it a fair freaking forum, this team could do some damage. They got all the different right talents in the right place. I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a big, big year, for all around the board. Raider Nation, let's do this. It was an honor and it was a pleasure having Mr. Cisco Ortega, president of the Black Hole Las Vegas chapter, on our podcast today. Kshedduncuffed. Episode 4 was last week. See how I played that off? Episode 5 was today. And guess what? Episode 6 is going to be coming up. I already have my topic. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be moms. Everybody's mom is the most beautiful person that they've ever seen in their lives. I just got them going back home and seeing my mom, and she's getting older. I'm gonna head back out this next weekend to see her again and spend time with her. Everybody, when you can, hug your mom. Tell her you love her. One of the best parts of the movie Doctor Strange 2 was when Doctor Strange said to Wanda, you made those kids out of magic. And she said, that's what all mothers do. Wow, I just lost it. That was the best part of the movie for me. So when you tune back on Kshedduncuffed, episode number 6, we're going to talk about moms. All right, we're going to show them a little bit of love. With that, Kshed is going to be signing off, and I will talk to you guys really soon.